level now. So we've scalped out some into 23 almost. I think we got some 88 fills there. It's since come back down. It's holding higher lows. So I'm still not going to sell this one. I'm still going to hold this one for a possible continuation. My stop out though is the break of this 35. It's the break of this candle here. That 22.34 will cause me to get out of this position. That's 15 pennies from where we're at now. But Fahad, thank you very much for coming on, brother. Yes. I appreciate you always helping, filling in, and man,
today was fun, man. Today was fun. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Again, I'm learning trading, so you're not going to get a lot of good lessons from me, obviously. Don't follow myself, but Sharif teaches me while he's on the show, while keeping it entertaining. He has a lot of talking to do, so he can only do so much. On my side time, I try to learn trading. We'll see where this goes, man. If it turns into something in the future, why not? If it doesn't, I'm cool with it as long as I get to entertain. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and you'll see me the next time there's no one else to cover, unfortunately. But you guys will see me when. And enjoy the close show with Brendan,
yes,
Neil, Arun. Arun, good luck, buddy. You're going to need it.
All right, guys. Same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, welcome in. Yeah, a couple hours left on a busy afternoon here. Shaping up to be almost, it depends on what you're looking at, but almost positive. NASDAQ, the only one left in negative territory right now, about 0.25% left over to get back to the upside. That, however, is the look of the S&P 500 right now as far as the index is concerned. 0.31 in positive territory right now, so we are heading in the right direction. The Dow also positive, so it is just big tech lagging. Tech in general, but big tech more so than others. Pointing at you, Microsoft, down 2% so far today. A few others in this group also to the downside. The software group faring a little bit worse than everything else. There's CRM as well. Salesforce down 1.2. Right beside it, Intuit, Adobe there as well, also down about 1.3 on the afternoon. Some of the chip names also in negative territory. AMD, the biggest, NVIDIA as well, did slip into the red. I was wondering if it was going to. At the end of the morning there, 0.7 now to the downside for NVIDIA, but you can see not so much influence as far as the overall market is concerned today. A lot of that coming from industrials, consumer, discretionary stocks specifically, and financials as well. KMX reported down here. KMX up 10% off a better than expected earnings report. It was more about the cost cutting that they talked about. They're going to control some costs a little bit better in their current quarter. Overall, the numbers not huge for KMX by any means. Amazon down 2% as well. Ross Stores right beside it, also in the red. So some of the retail names specifically a little bit weak on the day. Lockheed Martin here and Northrop Grumman downside about 1% for each. Everything else though in the industrial sector positive, including all of the airlines having a pretty good day, 1+% to the upside. There's Moderna. We'll touch on that coming up here, 2.6 to the downside for Moderna off the lows that we saw put in early on this morning. Overall, though, hey, it's a green board. We'll take it with a couple hours left. Hope your afternoon is going pretty well. It's opening day for the Blue Jays today, as you're going to see here. Neil's very happy because of this. He's going to go to the game later on tonight. But as we head into the afternoon, let's jump into what we were discussing a little bit early on this morning as far as opportunities available to you. Neil, as I mentioned, going to lead us off here this afternoon with a look at one of his trades from earlier.
Sir, leading it off for your trade of the day is always brought to you by Day Trade the World and your Toronto Blue Jays. It's opening day, well, home opener anyways. I'm excited about it. So you're trying to hit home runs in real life, trading, at your job, whatever you're doing. I'm hoping the Jays can hit some today. And there was an obvious level that set it up for you if you're looking at Coinbase. Everybody knows Bitcoin broke 30,000, big mark. Ether's trying to take 2K. And Coinbase, let's be real about this. You know, they got that Wells notice, and it was an abject disaster. Like, it was trading up in the high 80s. You had a monster gap down. And since that, you've had a pretty clean bottom. I mean, you look at the 60 bottom on this, and you look at the 70 top, and it has not been rocket science. Like, ever since they got the Wells notice, it gets up close to 60, you short the 60 level. And it's worked, it's worked, it's worked. At some point, The 30K break happens, and it doesn't work today. Now, was I short in front of it? I said I would be short in front of this level before the breakout, so I did take the trade. You just got to wait until it actually gets to the price. Not that that makes it any better. I mean, if you're short off the open, like if I shorted 69 in front of that 70, way too far in front, the risk to reward I don't even like. Oh, it's coming down. I might even get a fill-off view up here. So breaking down, it would have been $1 to $1.50 win if I take it too early. But I do allow it to get up to the 70 level, breaking above 69 where I like those fills to come in, and I get it. Almost immediately stopped out on a 3-minute chart. It did not last very long. Looking for the curl. For a second, it felt like it was about to bounce back to the downside. Held at 69.50. I was pretty much instantly reversed, and I definitely scalped out a little bit too early on this one. I got out. Sometimes what will happen, it'll make a break. I got a second fill to add to it, and then you hit offer enter, and it's like, yeah, at that particular moment, it's actually come back down off the breakout. So instead of offering 25 cents up, you hit the offer enter, and you just went out of the market price. It made another move to 71, kind of pulled back a little bit. At that point, I was thinking you just basically had the breakout trade. Covered too much in front of 50, covered some in front of that 75. Where is it going to go from here? And all I could say to myself was, okay, all you got to work with is just underneath that 73, and then maybe you're talking 76 on a gap fill. So if it gets anywhere close, I got to look for that turn. It tried to break 72 and came out. I got out of the trade and then waited for the dip. At every single moment, I was talking about this on the live show, when it dipped here, I was waiting 5 cents below. When it dipped to 70.50, I was waiting at 70. Like each time, I was a little bit too tentative because I wanted that perfect price after feeling I mismanaged the original long, even though you hold out for the final third and give it some room and it went. But that initial scalp, not good. Wanted to be so patient. It finally shows me a double bottom here above VWAP at 70.75. And once I see it hit this time here, hold it. I then work into it at 71, get some 71.50s above and below that for a bit of a scalp trade. The key part was the second it was above 70 even, wasn't even thinking about the short. You know, if it's the only way that I'm thinking about the short is if it reclaims that level to the downside or maybe gets into this range here, 74 to 76. You know, once you get that kind of a break of a key price level, sometimes you just flip the script, get aggressive to one side, have a bit of a bias, and then try to hold on to it. Coin was definitely a fantastic short off that level, but today you had to flip to the long. That's where your home run was, not fighting the market, but the trend being your friend. That's why Coinbase is your trade of the day. As always, brought to you by Day Trade the World. Go Jays.
Yeah, super strong for all the crypto-related names, not only this morning, but continuing here this afternoon, although a bit of a pullback right now for Coin. If you haven't done so, make sure you grab that every day. All you need is an email address, and you get the watch list for absolutely free. It wasn't on any economic calendars that I saw, but Fed's Goolsby speaking right now. Just be aware, some comments coming through. Inflation data continuing to come in extremely strong. Talking about the job market as well, saying unbelievably strong. So I'll keep an eye on that. But some Fed comments when we thought there wasn't going to be any. So that's the way today has gone. Here is, change this to a white chart, but also went into a 15-minute. This is Bitcoin right now, just to highlight what happened overnight. We got that breakout finally from this long consolidation. Again, it's a 15-minute chart. So we are trying to push back towards day highs even right now for BTC on a 15-minute anyways, 30,226. You go over to Ethereum, just kind of hanging out. This is a daily chart. I'll drop this down too maybe and see this Ethereum just kind of hanging out. Did make a nice move overnight as well to the upside back to 1940, which is this high if you go back to the beginning of the month. But that is why essentially we were talking crypto and crypto stocks specifically to kick things off this morning. If you joined us in the pre-market, not only Coinbase was higher, we also saw Riot, Mara, Hut 8, all the mining-related names specifically putting in nice moves as well, guys.
Wow, okay, I just got refilled. Someone in the chat just asked, are you reloading Coinbase here? And my answer was, yeah, you could actually, I mean, you could see my bid when I was doing the video. Like, it's not to hide anything. In the middle of talking, but I looked over at the chart. I'm like, oh, yeah, I might get this fill while we're doing this. So I was on the bid in front of VWAP. I just picked it up I'm trying to remember the exact price I got to. So yeah, I was at 75. So, our positions it's still showing midday positions. And we'll try to get that fixed for you guys. So I just reloaded. You can see it there on Coinbase. It's still showing Sharif. And I guess that would have been Fahad there. But anyways, I've just got the reload on Coinbase. I like that 70 and a half off of VWAP. If it's beneath 70 even, I stop looking for the longs here. You do want to watch out, see what's going on with spot prices. I typically, I have charts that, I have charts I'll show you guys. Like on the main show, like sometimes if I'm looking at Twitter, I'll go to my Binance chart, which I do have up on a side screen. I have the weekly up from this morning, but I also have a 15-minute that I'm watching just to ensure I have an idea of the price action. Like if we creep back beneath 30,000, I'd be a little bit concerned about that. As a matter of fact, let me go back to the 15 just in case I want to show it last time. So there's not really any kind of a huge pullback. We're still green over the last hour, so I'm not terribly concerned that you're falling apart, which would cause me, look, if I would not be sitting on that bid. If we had crashed back through 30,000, I wouldn't be looking for that bid. It's not to say that you're going to correlate here. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. It doesn't actually even make any sense to me that you have a direct correlation. But if there's a sharp pullback in Bitcoin, I wouldn't expect Coinbase to hold any bids, and I might start looking for that short beneath that 70 level. Did not trade anything else. This was the only one. I paid for locates on Silvergate, and I'm probably still, I'm still offering a 165. When this rolled over, it got under VWAP, put in a lower high. I'm like, okay, I want the short right here, 165, give it a 175. I never got it. I'm still offering it. I'm mad at myself because I said if Silvergate happens to make a run to the upside on sympathy for any reason today, it's probably going to be a really, really good short, and never got into that. And it got close to $2, not quite. If it pops, maybe I don't want 65s. I'll wait for 70s or something. Any kind of a pop, I'll be shorting Silvergate this afternoon.
And Coin was great. Coin was one of those trades where it was great if you caught in the first half hour. Terrific move, right? And then since then, it's been quiet. And the problem with that was 70 even on the break to the upside. If you take a look at the daily, big zone. We finally crossed through there. The issue is what's now north of 70 into that 75. So on the way back down, I think is the opportunity here on Coin. Although it may not feel that great, trying to buy longs off of a pullback like this, but the fact that we crossed over 70, started looking at a gap, a pullback that confirms a long should get us a nice little extension. So based on the way it's been trading today, I'm not sure if there's any volume left for it today, but Coinbase come tomorrow, if it can make it through CPI, if it can make it through any sort of overnight news involving Bitcoin or any sort of coin, really, BTC or anything like that, then we may have an extension, a possibility here. We just got to make it through all those news headlines, get to the open tomorrow. If we're still around here north of 70, there's a possibility that we do have the extension because we've cleared the zones now. It's just a matter of getting that extension to the upside.
Yeah, flip those around. I hope that doesn't mess you up there, Mahad. We had Chip second, but I thought we should talk about WW here, guys, because this just happened right now. We just got 2 day highs there on Weight Watchers, or WW International, which I recently learned is the parent company of Weight Watchers. So think Meta, Facebook type of deal. That was the high this morning, 645, just got taken out there on decent volume. 15% short, remember, on this. To the upside we go today here, guys.
Yes, sir. And WW Weight Watchers doesn't really matter. $7 was kind of that target area where I thought maybe it would pull back in. It hasn't really gotten to that price. There were other names out there at the open, so I'm not really that inclined to feel like we missed out on this. And really, I was looking for $5 on a long. It got to $5.50. Maybe I thought it was over at that point. It held that higher low. I guess I should have been in this one. Oddly enough, it's weird. Like I picked AMC, that 550 break, and I'm sitting in that one at 554 when Weight Watchers or WW gave you the opportunity to buy the same dip at the same price, similar breakout level on the daily chart, and some actual continuation. So sometimes you just want a better catalyst, and I'll be guilty of not liking this one. Fundamentally speaking, I'm a little bit skeptical as to the case here. One of the things that's weird to me is if you think about their whole hey, let's do the wellness and healthy living is sort of their way of approaching people bettering themselves, changing their lives physically. then if you're going to make it easier for them to access a drug to have that same weight loss, does that mean that your actual normal business plan is a failure? Does that mean that like everything that you've been doing for all of these years, you're acknowledging is not the proper path, and then to simply use a drug to get weight loss is the way to go? Interestingly enough, like that would seem to be counter to everything they've been saying for the last 20, 30 years. But hey, maybe that's just them changing with the time. So you shouldn't let your biases get in the way of a good trade. Maybe that's what happened here. Good runner, but if it gets to 7, I think it's probably a bit of a fade. And congratulations if you got it.
Yeah, Weight Watchers, I'm always going to look at a name like this and look at the bigger chart, the much bigger chart. And now that we've crossed through that 450 very quickly, we're at 6 and change. You got to look at that 7. Like Neil's saying, that 7 stares at you on this daily chart. This is going back to March the 7th here. And we just happen to just get a few cents past 7. What is it? 707 is the high there on that day. And if we can get above 707, then you start running into some issues going back into May through August of last year, where you got 750, 775, 8 even, 825. It gets a little bit messier. I think the cleaner trade was that 450 break. Now you start running into 7. That may have a small breakout potential, but just be aware that you do have that ahead of you or above you as you continue the run. So as great as the run is on WW today, the way it's been moving up, a little aggressive and a little, if it was building up levels on the way up, I would feel more comfortable with the extension. But the fact that it just seems to have gone in this angular move to the upside, it's very hard to say running into resistance that it's going to be able to keep up this pace. So for now, I would just kind of step off, keep an eye on the daily, see how it handles any sort of pullbacks, because we know that 450 is going to be the level that the break point is. So 5 even into 450 should provide support. Let's see if there's any sort of support on a pullback. If there is potential long around there, going back to 7 through 8.
All right, we had chips on watch as well this morning. There was not 1, but 2 different upgrades or price target increases on NVIDIA and AMD as well. A minor note that came along regarding Intel as well, with some conversations they had with Chinese officials on the security side of things earlier in the week. All of which end up being kind of a choppy trade, even slightly negative on the day so far.
There's one name that I like to the short side. You guys know it was Micron there. First, a couple of things. Let's get back over to Coin, because Coin just got back into the 70 level. So stopped out underneath VWAP there at 70.50. So the last long, we reloaded it in front of VWAP. It kind of instantly rolled against me. I think if it gets under 70, that's when I would look back for the shorts. If you shorted off 72, love the gumption to be sure. I wanted $1 higher before I was looking at any shorts, but now Coinbase is rolling over. It does not need Bitcoin to come down for it to come down on its own. I want to get to Micron quickly. I am still in this one. I have about 30% left. Check that, actually 20% left of the position. We shorted it off to 64 level. You know that's been it on the daily. Over and over and over again, Micron gets to 64 and then fails at that price. It did so on earnings. It did so with the Samsung news event yesterday. So we shorted it, got some fills pretty much at 64 even. I was waiting until it got to the 60s and 50s to start covering, and then got a fill in front of 63 even. I'm still in position, looking for a place to add to it. But again, it's off the higher time frame. Ideally, I wouldn't be shorting it back here again at 63.75, but that might be the best that we get. If the market starts rolling over, I do not want to miss a chance to reload on this, even though I think I want to wait till 64, at least for now. If we can get any kind of push up into there, that has been the level. 64.50 could be a reversal, but I think the reversal on the move on Micron, it wouldn't just be breaking this 64.5. It would have to kind of get above 65, 65.5 on the daily chart. Much bigger level up there. For now, the short is still working. It's 4 times it's worked if you look at the daily chart. And to me, when I see something like that, it's like short it until it stops working. Once it makes a breakout, try to engage in that long, and then stay with a bias to the long side till it gets back underneath or shows you some kind of a trend reversal. So until it breaks, I'm still looking short on Micron here, 64.
And I think there's a very similar look here on NVIDIA as well. 281 and change was put in a few days ago. That high still in place. We came down from 281 all the way down to 264. Tried to make a run up yesterday. Strong move overnight also got us close to 278. Today, we're down to 272. So what happens now once we get above 278 and closer to that 281? That's why I've got that yellow marker or the orange marker zoned out here, is because if we get above 278 and fail, potential short against that high. If we get above 278, catch bid, good strength, take us right to 281, that's a great expansion. Why would NVIDIA be the main play? Or at least for me, when I'm looking at it, look at this chart. This is the run on NVIDIA off the daily, and this is a strong move. If we can actually take our time with it, come down, catch a bid, take it right back up to that 280 marker, and if we can extend through the upside, I think you have a ton of potential here on NVIDIA. It's taken a break today. Obviously, it's down 0.84, a little bit weaker than the NASDAQ as a whole, but at the same time, it's overall, when you look at the big picture, like Brendan has marked off there in the header, it is chips are strong. Specifically, NVIDIA overall is strong, just having a rough day today. But I think if we're getting through that 281 should open up the door to the upside even more.
All right, Alibaba still, I was just checking here, chopping around at day lows, down 1.5%. Could have been a lot worse. Looked like it was going to be a lot worse right out of the gate this morning with this huge flush that we got. They rolled out their generative AI, and they're going to, they said, roll it out right across all of their businesses and all of their apps at the same time. Chinese officials come out with more regulation on that type of technology in that country at the same time. So BABA joining a long list, not only of Chinese companies now with something like this, but also all across the internet, guys. Down 1.5 here for BABA.
I was actually just explaining to Arun how the bets work and how you can check your points. I'll make sure, just in case you wanted to get engaged, because betting is open. Q's red or green today.
Oh, there's people in the morning that's like, what happened to our bet? Apparently, we never closed the bet from yesterday.
No, we fixed that. So
if you guys won, you won.
Streamlabs is a bit glitchy. So like what'll happen is like you'll try to close it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to like refresh the page, or there's a couple of tricks that Brad was showing me to be able to get it to work. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. But we did manage to get yesterday's closed, and then the points awarded for everybody. But today it's just a simple red or green on the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ's been the one that's lagging, right? It's a little more interesting there. As usual, we'll close it at 3 o'clock. You know, on Alibaba, and this was one of the best things about the community and sort of being able to talk through the trades is, on BABA, in the morning, I think we both said a very similar thing. I'm starting on the 3. I just want to stay here because I can show you the trades off of this. But the last time we got to this price, you can see the hard reversal that it had off of the 103 level, and then you couldn't get through 105. But it was strong move into 03s and then a big flush. So until it broke there, I think I opened up by saying longs on a breakout, it has to get above. But BABA typically, AI release, sell the news is kind of the way that it goes with Alibaba, yet I didn't short it. Instead, I was like, well, where do I like to dip buy? I like to dip buy at 100. I like to dip buy at 98. Never got to 98. I took the 100, immediately stopped out. And that's where you have to start getting patient, because you catch the falling knife, and it's like it just kind of runs you over. And then if you want to get it back, or you still think the area is valid, start getting very, very particular about your trades. Like nibble in front at 100, never get all in so that you don't have to stop out at the bottom. Scalp to VWAP, and then get the nitty gritty. Once it shows you that that level's good, 99.5, then start working that right now. Actually, I have bids at 60s and 70s. I was able to get some, but it's never really breaking out of VWAP here. So the money fills have oddly enough been sub 100. Like you've been waiting for it to break $100, get down, and then take the long. You've been winning if you took 100 and get out like 130, 140, but the sub fills have been better. It's not really moving at this particular point. If anything, a close beneath that 100 sets you up for another test of the low, and then maybe we can get to that 98 level on Alibaba. Just another name out there, because I don't think we went over any of the other Chinese ADRs. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think someone was talking about JD in the chat for a long term this morning. We were talking about it, but I just wanted to go over Pinduoduo because I saw this after going through my morning and was like, why wasn't I looking at Pinduoduo again? It has just been flushing, call it trend reversal ever since it took out, it took out 90 and that was good, and then it took out 80, and it's just trending to the downside ever since. This is set up. It's been holding $70, but the flat bottom break potential on PDD at that 70 level, which it's trending into, for crying out loud, like every single time BABA's up or something drags the space up, it's been an opportunity the last week and a half to find a short trade in Pinduoduo. Another gap up, can't get past last resistance at 72.5, fails on a dime, right back and looks like it's going to test 70 even. So that 70 is a big level on PDD. Every time I think Alibaba, I'm going to remind myself that Pinduoduo has usually been a better stock for me to trade. So you want to make sure you're going back to the well in something that makes sense to you, a stock that you trade well. You should try to go back to it, look for setups on that stock. And I'm seeing Pinduoduo with a great 70 level, and then short the pops when you have a good resistance zone, especially when it's only up on sympathy. It didn't have its own news. It was up on Alibaba and other Chinese names being strong more than anything else. So you had a little bit less risk taking that short up there today.
Yeah, Baba's such a hard one to trade. You look at the bigger chart's a mess. You look at the smaller chart, you're like, I don't know if I can work with this. This is a 30-minute, by the way. And the 30-minute doesn't look that great either. I mean, you're going to have to, I think, it's a scalper's dream is what Baba is at the moment. The way it's been moving around, you take a look at it, maybe a small chart, you go for the quick move. As soon as it breaks some round numbers, you go for it, and then you kind of just back off because the big number or the big chart doesn't really help out. It doesn't fit the parameters or at least the style of the trade that I do, but it is there. There's different ways of approaching it, obviously, and I think all right. I just had to reset the position board for you guys. Apparently, I got to take a tiny position, and I just took BAC, got in and out to take care of that. But anyways, back to Baba. It is one of those situations where you look at the bigger chart, you're like, can I work with this? And look how many gaps you're getting, and this is the mess you're dealing with on Baba as you just constantly get gaps and then random moves. So I think for trading-wise, it's going to be a scalper or a scalping type of stock, and that type of stock only. And the way I'm looking at this is it doesn't really fit, but at the same time, there could be some levels I can make work possibly. That 103 into 104, if we can get strong through there might be a nice little move to the upside. So that's one to watch. That's why my alert's sitting at 104. To the downside, obviously 100, big round number. We caught a bid. Let's see how it moves through 101. That could open up the door to maybe 102 to 105. So the expectations are a little bit slower with, or smaller with Baba, but you could still kind of find trades here and there. You just got to be in quicker and out quicker when making these kind of moves here.
All right, Moderna, bottom of the board there. This thing was wild in the pre-market this morning when this news came out. Just no liquidity as well. This is 145 down here. This is 161. 20 bucks to the downside on this. Their mRNA flu shot comes up a little bit light on expectations in an early study. So, I mean, it was upside after that. Even when we get to the open this morning, we ended up holding 150 there at the bottom. Trending now even to the upside for Moderna.
Yeah, definitely trending to the upside. It was a dirty one because it was, no matter how it's set up this morning, it was going to trap like the short trade, and the only thing you can do is try to stick to your plan. So I shorted the bottom end of the range, looking for a push down into 144. You know, you're looking for about $5 or $6 down there. It never happened. It ended up stopping and breaking out. And then the other side of it never got to 160. So the other side would have been, okay, well, 160 is the other level that we like upside. I want to go to the daily chart to show you why. Like, it's got the 200 period moving average at 160. Underneath that 155 level, which I thought we were breaking down, was this. You know, this breaking 153 into that 150, that's your entry area. Looking for that move in, it reclaimed the 50 period, and now it's kind of diddling in between the 50 and the 200 on the daily. So I didn't really see a setup outside of looking for that short and trying to get that $5 to $7 move into the downside. Didn't happen, took the swing and the miss, and if anything, closing, if it can find a way to close above 160, suddenly it's a very productive looking chart, right? Like, it would have resisted the down move, had a pretty strong, I guess, reaction to the selling in terms of a rebound, and then you're holding back above 160 in both major moving averages, and you've got a pretty decent trend up. You'd have an on-volume failed breakdown to set you up for a long. So I'm looking for this to get back above that 160, and then there might be a long trade in Moderna. Just quickly, because it's right here right now, I just want to get AMC out of the way for a quick second. Because AMC, it just made another bounce off 550. I know, actually, Fahad was talking about this because I know he was trying to get 550 exactly, every time it got to 550, it wasn't filling you unless you were paying for the fill, like getting on a reverse model gateway or a dark pool. So the fills have been above, like 51, 52, 53, but it is making a lower high right now. So it was trying to get back to the top. Best out was at 62. It's only 10 cents, and right now it's pulling back in here. So if it cannot hold 550, probably going to be done for the day. Decent day for AMC, but another lower high just got put in, so this one could be in trouble.
Yeah, Moderna, damn, they got me. Moderna got me. Remember we were talking about the trade this morning? We were looking at it, potentially 50 break to the downside. If they, well, we wanted to say we were going to go short initially. If they can stay underneath 150 right here, then we would actually jump in on the short. And then it snapped back like, oh, this is great. This is a failed move. We're going to go for the long here after it broke 153. I bid down to 152, put the stop at 149. All of it sounds good. Even when it dipped all the way down, it was perfectly fine. And then I went ahead and did this right here. That's the entry. Came all the way down. We never got stopped out. And then it ran up, and the futures were stalling. And I was like, oh, Moderna's right back in the same spot.
A bunch of things.
I don't want to commit to this now. I've already had a futures position on. I don't want to commit to this. So I got out, made a little bit on this, and then decided to continue its rally all the way up to 156.5. So a nice $4.50 move, or $4 move from the point that I got out. But it's been a messy trade. Obviously, Neil was saying that, he was telling me actually earlier that like there's no way you would have been able to stick with the short here because they would have gotten you out multiple times. Whether it was 150 or even the secondary break, if you thought the low was gone the second time, 149.5, but they caught a bid, and here we are with Moderna. There's something to be done with Moderna. We just don't know what it is just yet, because there's definitely some strength here in Moderna, even with this rough news that it's got. It's down 2.7%, but can it make its way right back to 161 where we started this whole thing? I think if we can get above 158 and change, there's a possibility of this. So let's just see if we can, but keep an eye on this one. This is going to present some opportunities here. Whether it's going to be tougher today because of the way it's trended, but whether it's tomorrow or the day after, I think there's something to be done here, because even if you don't catch the 158, the next break up is the 162 and change, right? That puts you on the high from yesterday's pre-market. So that could open the door for another extension to the upside. So potentials all around here on Moderna. Definitely one to watch as more opportunities are presenting themselves as we get closer to that CPI number tomorrow.
Guess what else is going up? The market's making a nice move to the upside. The S&P 500 just got through 41.5, highs of the day. The NASDAQ, look, the NASDAQ's at 0.2. So if you've made the bet on the positive, it's looking a little bit better now. We just got over VWAP here on Alibaba, and you can see when it gets to this price, every single point during the day, even if you've been winning, you wanted to ring the register. However, I did not get a dip buy in here. And I still think that this one has a chance to get to 101. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to be dip buying at that 100 level. Oddly enough, I complained about AMC, and it looks a little bit better than it did a second ago. Fahad was just talking about this name off of 100 on Amazon.
Printing, bro.
100 on Amazon starting to go. If you talk about where something can get to, well, it didn't hold 100 today after holding 2 days in a row. There's at least $1 to $1.50. If the market goes green, this is a name that has some serious room to run. And given that it's at the 30s right now, even a modest pullback gets you longs in front of 100 with plenty of room to get into the upside. And then outside of that, I still believe in, like, I know you're in the Apple, right? I know you're in the Apple.
I'm still in the Apple.
The Apple.
I'm still in the
Apple is the name of the stock. It's not the Apple. The other big tech name, we talk about the biggest and the baddest. I'm talking about Microsoft here, yet to make a breakout. So on the 15-minute, have a quick look at this 284, maybe 284 change even, kind of holding the bottom end of the range, no breakout just yet. If the NASDAQ is going to get green, then this breakout needs to occur, and we're pretty much right here right now. I'll try to clean up these wicks on my chart. I can't promise they don't come back. Some dark pools up there. Be nice if it printed 91s today on a 284 break, but softy getting off the schneid as well.
All right. One position you guys don't see on the board here is my futures position. Okay. So I will talk about that. If you guys were watching this morning, as the market was coming down, I'm like, I like the longs. We're going to build up the longs here. And we did. And it was all through the morning, even as the show was ending, it was up in the air a little bit. We were building up the longs, but I was like, I like the idea. I'm going to stick with it. And we did. So now we're getting paid out here. So this is the futures entries here. Obviously, you start right here. Leave that one as I was getting the system going. So starting the entry here, we picked up some on the dip move down to 30. All of it was planned. I mentioned it to you guys as we were trading the morning. And then we got up here. This is where we're starting to stall a little bit around 11:30-ish. I was like, you know what? Maybe take some out. Got some out there. And that kind of wasn't the big payout. It was as I'm starting to get out here. Now, mind you, I've got 40, just in front of 48s out. And now we're sitting 50. So all of this is now averaging out to about 20 points on a quiet market. I'll take it, right? It's just a matter of time. And sometimes it requires that time to get going, even though it may look rough. Even though it may look rough when you actually are starting to work an idea, like Neil was saying, if you got an idea, you got to stick with it, right? Be smart about it, but at the same time, don't get thrown. It's too easy to get chopped up when the market's just doing a lot of back and forth here. So if you can see through the trees and see the entire forest, as the saying goes, then I think you would do just fine in a market like this. Of course, now at certain times, you have to change your view here. And like situations like the CPI where the market speeds up, you still want to be aware of the big picture, but at the same time, you got to be aware of the smaller details as well. So for now, all I really care about, regardless of what the equities do, I mean, Apple's finally making a move back up after being down all day, mind you. This trade was filled right in the pre-market off the NASDAQ imbalance, has been negative all day. I had very little faith that it could even get back to 62. It has gotten close, but it is still down 35 cents. But again, even regardless of whatever this does, I think as long as the futures keep going, it doesn't even need to keep going. At this point, I'm good. But at the same time, I would like for it to keep going. I think taking out 55 clears the door, or not the clear door, but clears this way for tomorrow's CPI. The only thing that's left in terms of levels I've got is that 55. So if we can just take that out today and keep going and kind of come back tomorrow and sitting just above 50, it makes for a lot more options in terms of taking trades off of that CPI number. But for now, good strength in the market. NASDAQ creeping back. Maybe all you guys that are making these positive bets here. 0.24% right now. And from the major index names, what do we got here? Tesla's up 2%, Costco up 1%, Microsoft's down 1.9, and Amazon down 1.85. So I think if you can get Apple back to flat and Microsoft maybe down 1.5, NASDAQ should be enough. That should be enough for NASDAQ to go positive. So you guys might get paid out here on that bet.
You know what's been positive all day long? I didn't mention one position that I am in. I know, I think it was Momo in the chat. Hopefully it was Momo. We're talking about Ford the last couple of days, and we talked about that 13 level on Ford, allow it to try to get above there. Whenever you're looking off the higher time frame chart, make sure you stay on the higher time frame when you're setting up the trade, because this got above the 200 period. Ford did $13, did a fail. You can kind of see what happened. A couple of days worth of consolidation that really fell apart. Same thing today. 2 days in a row, bouncing inside the zone. When it took out that 13, now the 200 period's kind of at 96, so anything above 96 to me was the entry zone, with 20 being the exit. So when it got up there, I had some at 99 once it was above 96. I waited for it to get above 13 even. It never got to 13.20, stopped at 13.07. Was able to add to it, get an average price of pretty much exactly 13 even, or 13.01, technically speaking, 13.5. That rounds up. I didn't get anything out till 90s, and now I'm looking for some 85 to 90 as my next exit point. So that's the case of allow it to get to the price area and then engage the trade as a day trader. But really, like, the swing's been valid since probably like at some point yesterday. I don't disagree with that, with a stop above that 13.25, let's just say. But Ford heading back into the downside. Oddly enough, when the market's been rallying, it's not really doing a heck of a lot in terms of getting a bit of a bid. So relatively strong early, but that's tapered. So I do feel like this one can be a decent short trade. I didn't get that Micron reload, which is a little bit frustrating. And AMC is kind of a bit of a dog here, and I saw some comments about some small caps that have been making some moves throughout the day. And if I see anything that is going, I do have my trade idea scanner up there. I want to make sure that we're not missing out on any crazy small cap runners out there. And Ram just asked, how do I know the quantity I'm betting? Hopefully you're talking about. So essentially, we're always talking about risk to reward. Like for us, it's not about trying to be flashy. Oh, look how much X person made today. Chase the day trading dream. That's all hogwash and nonsense. Like everything is about risk to reward. It's about the setup. It is about the actual trade and making quality decisions at the end of the day. So all I want to be able to tell you is if the short is off of 13 even, and the out is going to be at 20, right? And you're going to take shares out, and I'm going to take shares out at 10, I'll tell you right now, I took out 20%. Because if I take it all out, 10-cent winner, that's good on Ford. But then I'm actually risking 10 cents, I'm risking 20 cents to make 10. But if I'm looking to grab out initially at that 10-cent level, and then here, I want to take out another 20% at that 10 cent. I'm not getting anything out till it gets to the 1-to-1 or holding it for the bottom. And if I get even more aggressive taking it out in the 10 to 15 cent range, then I have to tighten up my stop and I can't give it to 20. Now, the other thing I should have said, my stop is now at the high of the day. So my stop is already tightened up. That decision got made when it didn't really move off of here. That's what it's all about. It's about risk to reward. Structure your trade. It is not about how much some person made. Oh, I made $100,000 going long Zila, and look at me. No, did the trade make sense? Was the risk to reward solid? Can you actually repeat that trade? Is it something that sets up for you and then you can take it on a daily basis? That's what you should worry about as a day trader. At least that's what our opinion is around here. So that's what we're going to be focused on. I do want to get back over to, oh goodness. I just saw KALA, and for a split second, I thought you meant Cal was going to squeeze. And I'm only laughing at that because it's getting delisted. So this is not squeezing. By the way, I'm all out of that Cal stock. I'm all done with this. Were it to make another move to the upside, I already said KL, it's got a delisting notice. It was literally called a shell company, oddly enough. And if it makes a squeeze to the upside, I don't think you want the short this afternoon. The volume's completely died. It went 2 to 150. But when I talk about a trade setup, this is the perfect example. My best two trades the last 2 days have been really simple. Cal, delisting notice, shows you a $2 bounce in the aftermarket, short the $2 level, gets to the low. The day before that, same setup, different stock, Tupperware. Delisting notice, gap down, shows you resistance at $1.50, you short the 150, goes all the way down. No, I'm going to cancel this. I never actually got the chance to rinse and repeat off 150. That is a repeatable setup where the risk to reward was right there for you. I know where I want to get in, I know where I want to get out, I know where my target's going to be to the downside, and then it's a setup trade. So it doesn't really matter anything else other than did you execute by shorting it reasonably in the high 40s to the 150 level with a 55, 56 stop, let's just say. And were you able to hold at least 10, 20% down into that 120 level for the bottom? That's what matters to your trading. Is it repeatable? Can Amazon? Amazon's not pulling back into 100, doesn't look like. I feel like I want that bid. Now jumping topics, I want to get back into something that's trading here. I feel like I want the bids in Amazon to be sure. That 100 does give you some support. If we're going green, it's a stronger name. Where is Microsoft, which I was just talking about? Like Microsoft needs to break 84, hold bids above, and then it's got room to run. The subsequent levels on Amazon, you've already broken out. You're holding above 100, so you can get longs off the 100 level because it's shown you that we've broken that zone a little bit. Like Softy, I want it to break the zone. If you're betting green, you want this to break the zone. It just hasn't happened yet. I think it can. It doesn't mean it will. Until it gets to like the 20s and 30s, I won't be convinced that it's trying to break above that level. But Amazon, I think it's good to go on the next available dip buy. And I just got some more Micron. So if there's a short that I like this afternoon, it's Ford, it's Micron. Maybe a small capper gets there, but I just reloaded Micron. I thought I was going to get to 64 here, so I didn't put that short on. But I just grabbed the 80s once again. I'll cover some in front of VWAP, but not too many. Probably only get like 20% out there in front of VWAP. I have bids from this morning down at 62.75 that I haven't canceled, but they're probably not that relevant. I can probably get rid of that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Amazon too because Fahad was talking about Amazon earlier. Nice little run here. Hopefully Fahad's still in it. He's trying to make some money as it gets into 150. We're still a little bit off there for now. Futures market taking a secondary leg. Hey, I like it. Let's keep going. It's kind of the strength we've got right now. The only thing I worry about going into the end of the day, though, is are people going to want to clear their boards with the CPI number coming out? At times, it's so up in the air. It's like after a trend, I wonder if that's a situation where profit taking happens because, there's a big number that could change the way this market looks after 8:30 tomorrow. So would people kind of just get out of the way, take their profit early and kind of call it a day? That also means I've got to kind of think about how I want to manage this. The way I've been managing the futures position, the rest of this anyways, is because I got some out here around these 47, 48s, I'm kind of letting it go until it breaks through 40 again. But we may tighten it up as we get closer. I mean, it's 2:43 right now. We've got about 15 minutes or so, just over 15 minutes before we get that 3 p.m. bump from the first batch of closing hour programs that come in. Depending on how that goes. So if those 3 p.m. Or if that 3 p.m. bump actually ends up being positive, I'll let it go. But if it ends up being negative, I may have to tighten things up because we may end up getting some sells as we get into the end of the day. And I just heard over there that Brendan is waiting for us with a guest, maybe?
We do indeed, yeah. With a preview of what is to come tomorrow, we have Frank Caberna joining us once again, Senior Content Strategist over at IG US, back in the building for a tee up, Frank, of maybe the most important day of the month. Definitely ahead of what is to come in May with the Fed, obviously, as we spoke about a little bit last week. But we'll touch on a few things here, and I want to kick things off with inflation because we talked about this morning. This is the CME Fed Funds tool. 70% right now. We're back to 70%. In favor of a quarter-point hike to come in May. That's basically flipped from what we had last week, pointing towards a pause. So give me your thoughts here. This, your slide tells the story, and I like the title that you put on it in the sense that, does this even matter anymore? And I'm referring specifically to CPI. It's a very aggressive forecast of what is to come tomorrow, coming off of a 6 print last time. They're expecting 5.1. What do we look at here?
Yeah, a really interesting move here. Glad you bring up the Fed tool. If you aren't watching that CME Fed Watch tool, you could just watch this stuff play out in the markets because we're seeing rates rise into today's close. Bond prices are lowering. All those things obviously moving in tandem. But the question has become, is interest rates, are they moving in tandem with inflation fear, or are they moving in tandem with stock market fear and more specifically the banking sector fear? Because you can see that the correlation is there. I mean, I drew these correlations for the last several decades from month to month. If inflation is moving higher, interest rates are likely to move higher as well at a 0.7 correlation clip, which is really, really high. I mean, we tend to see stuff north of 0.6 or 0.7. That's a really strong correlation. So the correlation is there, and likely if we get an inflation print that is 5.5% or 6% there, you might see interest rates jump higher. But really, really interesting to see this interest rate activity today where rates are already moving higher, although it doesn't feel like the market is necessarily projecting a higher inflationary number to come out tomorrow. Inflation, of course, does matter, but I don't know if it matters as much as just general sentiment around the stock market, because the boys were just talking about how the stock market is rallying into today's close, and it seems like rates, of course, which is moving which, they're likely moving in tandem, but rates are more moving higher today, I think, as a function of bullish sentiment in the stock market there, more so than everybody thinking we're going to get a high inflationary print. So though inflation has been, to your point, Brendan, the most important number on a monthly basis recently, because it means so much to what the Fed is going to do, it seems like we're already pretty content with the fact that we're in a relatively high inflationary period. But what's really going to keep the Fed hiking versus turning things around is sentiment around the stock market. And in the next slide here, you'll see that there's been an even stronger correlation between interest rates and banking stocks. And what's really funny about this chart is you see them moving against each other for the majority of it. For 90% of this chart until the last month or so of price action, every step of the way, interest rates moving higher has been pretty bad for stocks and even banking stocks that could potentially make money off of these higher interest rates. But in the last month of price action, you're seeing almost a one-to-one correlation between regional banking stocks moving lower and interest rate projections moving lower. So it feels like that lift in interest rates today is more off the bullish sentiment in stock market. And it's going to make tomorrow really interesting, because if we get, you know, a 4.5% print or a 5% print, something that's lower than expected, will the market move interest rates lower? Or if we get, you know, a 6% print or something even higher than that, will that move? Or is this monthly number, Brendan? And you know how this works. The cyclical nature of this stuff, non-farm and inflation, they become relevant for stretches of time, and then they lose some of that relevance. We might be on the flip side of this, where inflation might be losing some of that relevance, and rates and everything else are just moving around general sentiment in the stock market, general fear, so to speak.
It was really interesting to see as we're on the way up when it comes to inflation. The correlation was definitely there, and everyone was paying way more attention to what is now on the way back down, we hope anyways. That disconnect has started to appear a little bit more frequently. So when it comes to what this actually means for equities specifically, do we see then maybe a follow through with that disconnect a little bit tomorrow? Because, you even put in your notes here, what happens if it's just in line tomorrow? Do we see that spike again in interest rates or yields, and then equities are kind of left? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, it could make for an interesting scalp, because if we get an inline number and equities take that inline number as interest rates are going to move stock market fear, then that could create, honestly, one of the best environments for a day trader, so to speak, which is just a scalp one way or the other if there is a knee-jerk reaction in stocks. Because, this inflationary reading, more than any in the past, let's call it a year and a half, as inflation rose and now has subsided. Of course, it's not down to that 2% target, but it's off of those 9% highs that we saw in the fall of last year. There was a pretty direct correlation between inflation, surprise, interest rates up, stocks down. Right now, that last piece, that stock piece, is a little bit more confused, but could create some better price action just in terms of that day trade scalp, especially for those looking at that knee-jerk reaction and maybe looking to take the other side of it.
Of volatility, a lot of people have been discussing natural gas of late and this move back to the downside. No shortage is where I was going of volatility here in natural gas, not only in futures, but related equities as well have seen this come into play a little bit of late. What is going on here? Typically this time of year, coming out of the colder weather, going into the warmer summer weather, we do see a little bit of a slide, but this is a little volatile, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the worst transitions we've seen in natural gas from winter to summer of the last 3 years. You'll remember that it was pretty similar price action coming out of the winter into the summer of 2020. And of course, that was for a number of different reasons. That was when the pandemic was kicking in. And I think a lot of the projections around the need for natural gas, whose primary use is for heating and supplying power to a lot of big office buildings. So we saw similar price action down $2, and we're right. Knowledgeable traders who've seen more mean reverting markets like the S&P 500 volatility product, the VIX in there, and anyone who's ever traded it knows this is a market that can see huge upswings, huge downswings, but in the long term tends to focus around a central price. This looks very similar to that VIX market, right? But again, anyone who's traded a mean reverting market like this, so to speak, where it's like natural gas in the last decade is traded as high as $10 and is traded as low as $2. It's down at 2. It seems like, you know, a pretty obvious trade, but with that futures element, you have to think about timing here, and you'll look at the forward curve for natural gas, Brendan, and you'll see, for example, I don't have these prices in front of me, but just as an example, natural gas futures trading in May at 2.25, in June at 250, at July, 275. And so if you buy the Mays at 2.25 and that market doesn't make that jump by May's expiration, your timing has sunk your strategy, even though natural gas looks like it is poised to come off of these $2 lows, that it's only broken a couple of times historically. Really interesting trade, but keep in mind that this is a volatile one. And when trading in that futures market, it's not similar to trading equities in the future space, not liable to this, contango and backwardation that messes up the forward curve. Whenever you roll out from month to month, very little change. Natural gas, a little bit more of a complex beast here. So timing, very, very relevant. But yeah, at the current moment, Brendan, very reduced demand. We had one of the most mild winters, and now we're exiting that winter. Demand not high for natural gas. And since we had such high prices in 2022 and unseasonably high natural gas prices in the summer of 2022, it seems like a lot of natural gas producers have turned out so much production, and now there's an oversupply and a reduced demand. But given the seasonality of this market, those cycles always come back and forth. That pendulum swings back and forth. Timing key with this trade.
An absolute floor being put in anyways at this point for natural gas, as we saw on that chart. Doesn't get much better than that when it comes to support. The other big mover today, obviously, Bitcoin back to and through 30,000 for the first time in 10 plus months. Speaking of disconnect, we were talking all throughout the winter on how it seemed not only Bitcoin, but crypto in general was kind of following the NASDAQ, specifically tech stocks, more so than the S&P 500. Here we are floating back to the upside again for BTC. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I wanted to throw out some correlations here, and I'm glad that you primed our little talk on Bitcoin with that note of, in years past, high correlation to NASDAQ and tech stocks, because the correlations that you'll see that I'm throwing out are relatively low. You might say, Frank, there's no story to be told here, but I think there actually is a story in how low the correlations are to stocks, because that correlation to, like you say, the NASDAQ got up to positive 0.6, positive 0.7, and it seemed like these two markets, Bitcoin and tech stocks, were working in tandem, risk on, risk off type trades, leading their price action. Now the correlation has come out of this. And if anything, what sparked a lot of this Bitcoin bullish price action was the banking crisis that we saw. And it's almost like a little bit of a fear gauge, whereby Bitcoin has actually reduced in correlation relative to the stock market, increased in correlation relative to the gold market. But a really interesting day here today. At the end of the day, these correlations are all near zero, and a funny trading day. 30K in Bitcoin for the first time in about a year of trading, and the stock market is higher. This market really does seem to be carving out its own space here. So what does 30K mean? I can't assign too much to it other than really just building on this bullish action. It'll be really, really interesting. When we got to 25, Brendan, the question was, could we get to 30, or were we going to relapse down to 20? They feel pretty comfortable here above 30. Whether they can hold it for the rest of the week will be another thing. Maybe that's a vote of confidence for this to take another stair step higher, because this market has been obviously as high as 60K. We're only halfway back. It'll be a really interesting remainder of the week for Bitcoin.
Probably healthy, anyways, for it to find its footing and find its own way, as you were saying, as a market in general. Quickly, just to wrap up, Fed minutes coming tomorrow in the afternoon as well, after we get that CPI print. What do you put more weight into here? Obviously, the minutes from the last Fed meeting, so we're looking backwards a little bit here. But if we get, as we were saying, a CPI print in line, does the market then kind of look to these minutes as more important?
Honestly, if we get the inflation number in line and we see relatively little price action around that number, Brendan, then it in my mind, it's just another data point in this trend of inflationary fear and the Fed's rhetoric losing some of the relevance to our major asset classes, stocks, bonds, foreign exchange, and commodities. And so if we, get this number out and it's a big surprise to the upside or a big surprise to the downside, interest rates are moving about, stocks are moving about, then there will be some dissection of those Fed minutes. But if it comes out, it's in line, stocks and bonds are relatively inside days going into the Fed minutes, then I think that we're just going to have to be leaning on general sentiment and stories coming out around stock market fear and the developing banking crisis, because it was really interesting, even though it feels like the stock market has bounced back and a lot of the fear has been alleviated. VIX is back under 20, X, Y, and Z, pulling up some of these data points around inflation and the banking stocks. A lot of those markets haven't regained so much ground. They've just caught their footing here. So that story could kick in, and we're going to need it to kick in if we want some more volatility if inflation comes in line. And yeah, those Fed minutes aren't so interesting anymore.
Frank Caberna, senior content strategist over at IG US. A big day to come tomorrow. We appreciate the insight and great information leading into what could be a market-moving event. Thanks so much for this. We'll touch base again on Thursday.
Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah, thanks as always to Frank. And look, I want to thank everybody for sort of bearing with some issues with the stream there. Anytime that happens, just try to do a refresh. I know Bears versus Bulls doing a fantastic job moderating, letting you guys know what was going on there. The other point, I mean, a lot of things happened when the market was going. I only one new position on while Frank was talking, and I'm glad he talked a little bit about natural gas as well, something we don't really cover enough. But I got into Meta here, and as Frank was going, I saw a lot of people like Meta, and Meta was just sort of flushing while the market was hanging out at the top, and it just turned red. So red to green or green to red, whichever direction, it might go back and forth a few times, ends up being at 75. It flushed through, made a bottom at 214.40 on the lower high, started my entry point just in front of that old red to green. If it pops above 214.75, the only place I really want to add is into that VWAP, kind of into that 215 area. So it has to get up here for me to want to add to it, get myself an average price pretty much at VWAP with a stop at 215.20. If I only get baby starter position in, then that's all it is. Nothing I can do about that. But yeah, I think this one could be a bit of a test. And we're talking about Microsoft. I did try to get rid of these wicks. I got rid of them, they came back. I mean, what can you do? It tried to make that breakout through 214, so 284. Didn't really get through it through the quarters much. The high ends up being 284.20, so it doesn't get through those quarters. Looks like it's rolling over and failing, so that sets up as a fail underneath. Had that set up breaking above the quarters, I'd want the long above the quarters, giving it back to the 84. Instead, it just looks like another reversal here. I feel like I I already forget what I did my points bet with. Quite frankly, but this doesn't feel as strong as yesterday's kind of relief grind to the upside rally. And in that particular case, I only have BOBA and AMC, which might not care too much in a market pullback, but some of the big caps, I have Meta now. I'm looking for some shorts up here. And if I can get above 90s and then give it to the high that just got made, that's about 30 cents worth of risk plus slippage, it can still break the top and set up the long for the last hour. But if anything, it does not feel nearly as strong. I did get a reload on Micron and took a little bit of a scalp trade out of that one. But I'm looking to adding to Meta. We failed that 284 on Microsoft. That feels like it's short to me, to that 284.20 high.
We should probably close the betting, right, at this point?
Well, okay, I wanted to give it, we had the issues with the stream and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I'll close. I was giving it a little bit more time after 3 o'clock since we came back. Because we had Frank going, and if you wanted to get your last-minute bets in, we do close it generally at 3 o'clock, but I was giving it a couple extra minutes.
There you go. A few extra minutes to get your final bets in, whether the NASDAQ or the QQQs, regardless of what you're looking at. Is the NASDAQ going to close positive or negative? Right now, sitting down 0.25. So positive would mean a nice acceleration in both Apple, Microsoft, and some index names to push this just north of 0. But for now, it is still sitting on the negative side. S&P already positive, so we're not betting on that one, but let's see what NASDAQ brings. Going back to the big chart, now Frank was talking about Nat Gas a lot, right? Nat Gas, this is a weekly chart on Nat Gas and a consolidated weekly chart on the Nat Gas futures. This 2 even, man, we have been here before, but we haven't been here in about 3 years, right? We were sitting in between 150 and 2 for most of 2020 until we hit about July, August or so when we broke above. And then there's this huge rally from 2022 onwards all the way up to like $10 or so. And then since then we've crashed. Yeah, I would call that a crash on Nat Gas, especially this since December of last year, from 7 to 2, the speed at which it came down, nuts. Now we're starting to get into some territory where this could turn into a support base, but obviously you're not going to be swinging Nat Gas. Most likely you're going to be intraday trading this unless you've got some hedging and some sort of energy production side of things that where you actually need to take on the contracts. But for trading purposes, let's just kind of look at the daily with that perspective in mind, that huge zone opens up down below as a potential messy area. As we know with Nat Gas, it gets hot. Well, I was going to say it gets hot and then goes cold, but I mean, obviously, but at the same time, as the futures contract and as the activity on the contract itself, it also gets hot and also goes cold at times. And right now, it's been hot. Yesterday was a crazy move, right? From 206, 207, all the way up to 218. And then today was a little bit more messier. It's going to be a day-to-day situation. You look at it one day, is there a potential trade to be made that day? If not, you're looking for breakouts or some sort. Right now, you know 212 is near the bottom. You've got that 224, 225 up top. Box it in. If it breaks out, then maybe the next leg, you work that trade for a little bit and you move on. I know a lot of you guys mentioned yesterday that you guys are intraday trading Nat Gas, whether it's the futures, Boyle, Cold, or UNG as ETFs. Regardless of how you're trading it, most likely you're not going to be trading it every single day unless there's an opportunity presenting itself, right? It's kind of the same way you would trade crude. Crude it has those days where there's opportunities, and then there's days like this where it does absolutely nothing in the middle. Yesterday, a quick little move down south of 80, popped all the way back to 81. If that's a trade you want to make, there's a trade for you. Today, popped down to that support zone again. Caught a bid. That was about 8 a.m. all the way back up to 81.50, top of the range. Now it looks like it's catching an offer. Range trading until it breaks a range is pretty much what you got to go in the energy sector. If you are specifically looking at either crude or nat gas. Now, if you are trading something else, some of the other commodities, we don't really focus on those. We also don't have access to them here as well.
Oh, that's a good point.
So for those reasons, we're not in any of the other commodities. But for energy, we're definitely looking at that in some fashion through the ETFs, through the futures contracts, whatever that is. We are definitely looking at those as well. So for everyone trading in nat gas, trading in crude, it's not just equities over here. At least when I'm around, I'm going to pay attention to nat gas futures contracts, crude futures, nat gas futures, or even the S&P or S&P 500 futures as well. So I'm on the future side of things. These guys are all they're on the ETFs, they're on the equities. So we cover as much as we possibly can on this show. Wherever there's an opportunity presenting itself, we're definitely going to be looking up there to see if we can't make some money off of it at that point. Futures market. Hasn't done a whole lot. Even before Frank was here, we were sitting right about here, right? Around 40, 48 or so. Now we're at 47. I mean, big deal. We haven't really done a whole lot in the last little bit. I mean, we broke through 50, came back in. Now we're at 47. Let's see if we get another bounce. Maybe we can get a nice little push towards the end of the day. But what I'm banking on is more so protecting the gains on my long that I've got on the futures here. We are doing well. Obviously, I don't want to give this up if there's like some sort of a sell wave coming into the end of the day as people are taking profits. So that's the only thing I got to watch out for. Obviously, I'm in crowd. I'm in Apple as well. Apple, zero hope on Apple that I get back to flat on Apple. Crowd, there's a chance I might be able to get out for even. But again, those are at support, not support zones, but those are in the middle of support and the break points that I was kind of working with. So I'll just leave them be, let them trade out, maybe take them into an imbalance if necessary, and then we'll figure out what to do.
There you go. What I love about that is, we love to give different perspectives. Quite frankly, you saw Frank come on, talk about a higher level, talk about preparation for tomorrow. Arun was talking about don't swing into anything. We've been mentioning be a little bit more patient with your setups a lot of times here, but that's what it's all about. I don't know if you did this already.
Hola, like and subscribe
I did
today.
Earlier.
Exactly.
What?
So, for those of you, and I know our regulars know this to be true, the afternoon Arun, as you know, is a different stream. So in the morning, you have to hit the like, and Arun, you're supposed to hit the like as well. But I wanted to give you a shout out for giving that talk, because quite frankly, it's good to be able to look at the futures not just as a leading indicator, but as an opportunity to trade. We get your perspective on it all the time. So a lot of times, the stock will get to a key level. I'll look at where the futures are at. I'll turn to Arun if he's here. If he's not, I'll send him a chat message and say, hey man, what are you thinking about this level? Is this a big support level or a big resistance level? And maybe it'll give me some insight as to what I want to do with my trades. And I always feel you can learn something from looking at different instruments. You don't have to necessarily trade them, but you want to expand your horizons every chance you get. I was able to just get some more forward out. It's now 310. So I'm toying with, and in fact I did tighten up my stop again, because if we don't flush through 1285, then the opportunity to get down to 75s and break down to 50s could be a tomorrow thing. And if that's the case, then that setup isn't quite as valid to give to 20s. It's not even valid to hold back into the high of the day. It's a little more valid to hold back into like this 95, 96 area on forward. So I can't lose on the trade, but I've tightened my stop. As always, I've explained this before. I'm stopping out here, I'm firing an order up to here. I'm not holding it all the way, and this isn't my stop. I'll let you guys know, I'm stopping in the bottom of this consolidation, or I guess the top of that consolidation is how I should be saying it, and then we'll see what happens. Alibaba, that's the other one that we just got into. Well, we had a couple of longs this afternoon, but I just reloaded off 100. Chinese ADRs don't always move in the afternoon a heck of a lot, so you want to ring the register when you get any kind of a bounce. So it's giving you 20 to 25 cents first move, and then it tops about 40 cents from that 100 level into 140. Expecting more out of the last 15 minutes in the Chinese ADR, I think is asking too much. So I'm going to try and do that. If we can get it over and over again, good for it. Meta's starting to creep up back into VWAP. As that happens, I am VWAP on my 3-minute, on the 15-minute. It's not really much of a trade. It's a scalp setup, so it broke down. I'm shorting it into VWAP. It hasn't really gotten here, so I haven't added to it. I haven't taken anything off. Inside the range, the first 20 to 25 pennies where I'll take it out, but until it gets that against me, I'm not really looking to add to that position. Microsoft, that's come down about 15, 20 cents. I'm in the 60s for my first bid on that short that we put on. And AMC, I will not be adding to this position. I have my offers above a high break because I've already scalped out in front of the high of the day. No ad for me. If it breaks 550, I'm just going to get out. It's going sideways and doing absolutely nothing. So kind of a nothing burger for AMC. However, look, it did make that 550 break ultimately, and it's holding the top end of the range. It's above the 50 period. It's like 5 days in a row to the green side after a bad reaction to, I guess, the affirmation of that, what's the share combination that's going to happen. So there's a chance that it could squeeze a bit more tomorrow, sustaining this breakout, but it's running out of time to do so today. There's been decent trades today, no home runs, just singles and doubles for AMC, but that's fine. It would just be nicer if it could have made a bigger break through 550 into the 650. That's what we're looking for. Could happen tomorrow, could still be valid, but it'll have to wait.
All right, I was looking through the chat. Steve G, great question regarding nat gas. He was like, with the switch to El Nino in the fall, wouldn't nat gas be seen as softer next season? When it comes to warmer temperatures, and if you can't tell me what the weather is going to be in 2 days because they can't get it accurate, as much as that may make sense, I'm always on the fence in terms of the longer term outlooks, especially with nat gas being so sensitive to everything. It logically makes sense, but when has the weather ever been logical, even with the expectations of certain weather patterns and jet streams and whatnot? And I think especially with this instrument, extremely sensitive. So it's just one of those things where you really got to pay attention day to day, regardless of what the major outlook is. I mean, at the end of the day, are we really swinging nat gas contracts? Most likely not. We're probably trading them. So we kind of start the day, deal with it. If some of you guys are swinging nat gas contracts, good for you, or nat gas ETFs, whatever, however you're trading it, good for you guys, because that is a dangerous game to play right now, especially in these months, in the fall as well. In the summertime, probably going to be quiet, but weather is weather. As much as you can expect something, it's not one of those things where it's always going to be that, right? So always be watching out for a potential situation when it comes to weather, and you know, nat gas always moves around that. Futures market taking a nice little dip here. See if we can't get a nice little reload back up north of 50. I think the high that we put on nat gas, or not, I keep saying nat gas, but futures is about 51.25. So we're sitting at 49.5. We really haven't gone anywhere except a nice little few points, a couple points to the downside, now taking a move back up. I think we're going to see more and more of this. I'm just watching out for the potential fallout here if we get to a point where it's time to take profit and walk away, not just from my perspective, from other people's perspective, as we have a CPI number. Frank did mention that, does it even matter anymore? Well, we'll find out, but I don't want to have to deal with this.
We're skeptical that it does.
What's that?
I'm skeptical how much it'll matter, but
well, exactly. We'll find out tomorrow. But at least for today, going into the end of the day, if there's any sort of selling coming in, I do need to walk away from this trade. For anyone wondering if I'm in a position on the futures, I am. I am in a position still managing the one that's averaged between this entry at 37 and change and 31. So we're sitting somewhere around here on the average. We got some out here, we got some out here, and we're going to get the rest of it. We know the levels I'm thinking about here is that 55 marker. So I'm giving it a chance. We're working through the sell zone. If we can get through there, I can kind of go hands off a little bit, but I am at the same time being very, very careful on how my stop is moving up. The less time I have between now and the imbalances, the tighter the stop gets to the current price. So for now, we are sitting a little bit further back, but I will start tightening this up if I start to see selling and we get closer and closer to these imbalances.
Yeah, so like, and again, I want to thank everyone for their patience. I think I just had like a little bit of a lag. So I'm watching the stream myself. So I keep trying to refresh. That seems to help it a little bit if you hit the refresh. So hopefully you guys can still hear us. I know Bears versus Bulls doing a fantastic job out there, making sure he lets you guys know. That's the best you can do. Everyone's working on it back here just to make sure we can get it to you. Hey, we're live. It's technologically based, so we're relying on technology. There's not much you can do about it here, and I can't control it. Just hopefully, if you guys can still hear us, just always let us know. And we love the fact that you guys give us that feedback. So getting back over to a couple of things here, I didn't just reload on Micron, because it just made this move. I didn't take it going into me. I scalp traded some, got back in 80s, took some out at 70, but now it's making a real test at that 64 even. So if it gets up to 64, I think that's the one place to reload. I have some shares from earlier today. That's why my average price is 85, despite the fact that I just got in some at 75, because I still have some from the 64 entry, but that is that big line in the sand. Tesla, whoops. I almost just put an order out for Tesla. But no, Tesla's making a good bounce here off of VWAP. Kind of a weird day for Tesla. I had a couple of trades this afternoon. I didn't really go over them. I kind of talked Tesla too much today. But there was a good long off a 187.50 break. We'll get to that in a minute. They carried to 189. Then I tried to reload it. It stopped out. Not really good. But that same 187.50 where the breakout happened just after we just got off air. And I was like, ooh, Tesla looks a little bit strong if it breaks out. And we grabbed it. 40 minutes to go, 40 minutes to go, 40 minutes to go. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything, but not doing anything, but not doing anything, but doing anything, but doing anything, but this anything, but this is a move that got to 189 before. I could see it making that same play, and you have an out here underneath VWAP. So first available pullback. I'm gonna look to see if I can grab some Tesla to the upside. I did get some out of Microsoft just to update that one. I keep trying to get rid of these wicks, it doesn't matter. So I shorted it pretty much at 84.95. I got some out just in front of 60s. I'm trying to add to it in front of 284. So that has been a decent one. I don't know if you're going to hit any home runs this afternoon. That's the thing. So if you have to scalp trade these, This is what the futures are doing. Arun's already talked about it. You're in a tight range pretty much all afternoon. That's a 15-minute chart, so the last hour, you're not going anywhere on the NASDAQ in particular. So you are scalping inside of the range. That's pretty much all that you can do when this is happening. Or you can sit on your hands. You're not forced to trade, but wait till it gets to a good level. It failed 284, couldn't really break out from there. I would have taken the long if it got above 25s. It couldn't do it, so I shorted it when it came back under. So I allowed it to get to a key level. It made the decision for me, and then I picked the short side when it had already decided it didn't want to make that sustained breakout. Got to make a decision on Ford again. It's bouncing. You know what? I'm just going to keep trimming out of this Ford position because I don't think I'm going to get the move that I want. And ideally, this would have been a complete rejection of 13, and the market rolls over, and then Ford could head back into the mid-12s. Clearly, we're not getting any of that today. GM's probably having a strong day. We're still in the money, but we're going to be at the money pretty darn soon if I just keep holding on to it. So if it's not moving, I don't have to trade it, but I do need to get out of it in the next 30 minutes or so because we're close to the end of the day, which will be a big day tomorrow. Feels like the market is hesitant to make any kind of a move. So you don't have to trade, but if you are, make sure it's a stock that's moving, it's a stock that's at a key price level, it's a setup that makes sense to you. Otherwise, you could just be chasing your tail.
Yeah, I'm starting to shut things down here. Obviously, we've got the futures trade still going, so nothing to do there. Apple, I'm going to try to take this. I'm going to try to minimize the damage as much as I can, but it's also not in my hands at this point because Apple hasn't done a whole lot. So I want to see what these imbalances are at 350. If the imbalances are positive, I might try to get out. Well, I will try to get out flat. Imbalances are negative. We'll just take whatever's available at that time and just walk away from it. And then Crowd, I walked away from Crowd. Crowd was doing a whole lot of nothing. We got into this early because of that 130 break. We picked it up on the move back down. Went all the way down to 128. We were still good. Came all the way back up. Is now stalling at 130 with the futures market looking at a high. So if Crowd can't get going when the futures are near its highs, then there's no, I'm running out of time as well, then odds are this one's not going to go right now. So I'm just walking away from this, calling that one a flat trade as well. So we did, I've traded a few names here. Okay, so Moderna, Disney, we traded earlier today, made some money on. Crowd and Apple, I guess. Yeah, because the other ones are testing. Crowd and Apple are the only ones that were left on the table. We walked away from Crowd. Now we're left with Apple and the futures. One interesting thing, though, Coinbase. Man, Coinbase. It's a little late for me to pick up the position, but if you look at the daily on the Coinbase, we have cleared that 70, and we just came back in after testing that 75 gap. Well, we got as high like 72.70, 72.60 or so. We're coming right back into the 70s and catching a bid. This is a zone that needs to show buying if this is going to extend to the upside. As long as it's still there north of 70, I think there's a potential here for this to kind of catch a move and see what that gap has to offer to the upside. Because if you look at the daily, let's take a look at that gap again. It's this gap here, starting at about 77-ish. So it's a huge zone right here. That's a gap. The thing with gaps is we don't know what's there, so at any point there could be selling or we could accelerate through the gap. So that's why you want to be careful as you're trading through there. So if you can get a cheap price to see what the gap has to offer, I think that's a great trade. And for Coinbase to sit near 70 and confirm that strength at 70 after breaking underneath, and if we're still here today or still here tomorrow, then why not take a shot and see what that gap has to offer all the way up here into the 75, 76s, and 77s. As I say that, futures market now sitting on day highs here at 51.25, about to put in a new one as we break through. NASDAQ, 0.2. We're ever so slightly, for everyone that's made a positive bet on the NASDAQ, we are getting closer and closer to that happening, but we're not there yet. Crude up 2.11. Gold miners up 2.22, S&P up 0.34. NASDAQ does not care, still a little negative because Apple, Amazon, and I believe Microsoft as well, all negative. But if we can just get those to turn, you know you guys are going to be getting your winning bets on if you did bet positive. But for now, I see you've got Amazon over there.
I do actually. Yeah. I did bet positive, but I mean, I'm basically shorting off of every resistance level imaginable. Not not everyone, but a lot of them, to be honest. And we have Microsoft. I got Micron. A little bit of that's from earlier. Meta at VWAP underneath there. I'm still holding on to. I'm still holding on to some Ford, but I haven't really done that in the afternoon show. That's one from this morning. And then BABA's kind of making a move, but it's not really going that far. So I know there's still some issues happening with the stream, and we're doing our best here, guys. So you're trying to kind of bear with us. Hopefully everything makes a little bit of sense. There was something I promised. We got a question because I was talking about a feature that's available for our Canadian viewers and everyone that's involved here in Canada. I was talking about this in the morning show and I kind of really quickly glossed over it, and someone had asked me to go over it again in the afternoon so they could say it. So there's an opportunity with Day Trade the World. It's called Day Trade the World Campus. The idea being here is that if you are located within Canada, they are going to have a campus experience like Kickstock Your Career. I can actually just read it off for you. Learn how to trade with Day Trade the World professionals. You'll understand the markets. You'll get it. It's a training course. You get to learn how we view and interact with the market. You can trade both simulation and live using our P-Pro8 platform, the same one that we use here, guys. And you have the chance to become a funded trader with Day Trade the World at the end of the program. You do have the flexibility. It can be worked around your school schedule there, and it is free. It's just about time and effort. So if you're interested in applying, it's campus.daytradetheworld. The link is right here. All you do is click apply now. You do have to be in Canada for this at the current time. So I was asked about it. I talked really, really quickly over it when I mentioned the opportunity. I just wanted to show it to you guys. So any of our Canadian viewers out there, if you want to take a shot at this, then definitely make that contact. We'll keep bringing it up. And if you have any questions, you can always DM us or direct them at us. Direct them at us via DM. You can put them in the chat there as well. And Adrian, and you get a nice shirt. Well, I can't. No, I don't know. If you're referring to my Pina Colada shirt, I'm never giving this one away, nor my Lucky Trading shirt. Like those two, because a couple times someone was asking for. Like I have this Untuck It shirt that it's weird. I wear it maybe once every couple of weeks, and I'm not making this up. Like it's for the last 5 times that I've worn it, it was my best day that week. And I haven't had a losing day in that shirt.
Sounds like you got yourself a good shirt too.
So it's kind of like, I'll let you guys know when I wear it. It's a complete fluke, but someone asked for me to sell it. I'm like, no. It's like how baseball players like to wear the same socks every single time they play. Like it doesn't really actually mean anything. It's just, it ends up like kind of a fun quirk, and you just kind of roll with it.
I wear the same shirt on camera every morning, except when I'm here, so I can't even say anything about that.
Can I ask you a serious question? And this is not that serious of a question, but you put that on
for the camera.
For the camera.
For the camera. But
so my question is, do you ever wear that shirt outside of for the show?
No.
So you've never worn that shirt in public?
That shirt has been on camera about 5 minutes a day for a week, and that's it.
But you've never, okay.
That's it.
I wasn't sure if it's like, this is a shirt that I used to wear, but then I wore it on camera, and now it's only for on camera, or this is just, you've never.
That shirt is not worn outside of when I'm on camera for those few minutes at 9 a.m. every morning. That's the only time I ever use that shirt. That's it.
It's legendary.
I mean, that's version 2.0. The first shirt stopped fitting me because my arms were getting too big. I couldn't fit into the shirt anymore. It was starting to rip a little bit. No lie there. I couldn't get into the shirt anymore, so I had to get a new one. Very similar to the other one. You guys couldn't tell because I made sure of that. But yeah, it's very similar. But yeah, for now, that one's what I'm wearing. And then next thing you know, I may not fit into that one anymore, and then I may have to get another one that looks exactly the same as well to that. But yeah, that's what we're working with. And then you guys see me on camera or when I'm in studio, I've got a hoodie on. I feel comfortable with the hoodie on. I trade pretty good with the hoodie on, I think.
You got to be comfortable.
It's a matter of being comfortable too. I mean, obviously at some point you got to be professional, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're traders.
I'm only chuckling because it's like, yeah, that's that whole problem. Like, oh yeah, it doesn't fit anymore because the arms got too swole. I don't have that problem. I damn sure have never had that problem. So yeah, it sucks to be you with you and your first world problems over there, Arun.
I mean, Fahad was sitting over there. He's
literally flexing all over everyone around here on the stream. No, you right now. Like low key, yeah,
I mean, that's what happened. I wasn't saying, listen, Sharif over there's got bigger arms than me. It's not like I've got huge arms. It's just Sharif's got bigger arms. It just so happened that I gained some muscle apparently over the years, and yeah.
I'm humble.
I mean,
I'm messing with you.
It's just what happens. I know how hard it is. I know Fahad's struggling. It's okay, Fahad. You'll get there one day, but you'll have the same problem. But it's all good, man. You keep working at it. You'll get there one day. It's futures market. There was a nice little. No, I'm not going to do anything with that. Fahad's over there telling me, do I want to feel his arms? No, Fahad, I don't want to feel your arms. This guy's always flexing. If you get near him, he's instant flexing just to make sure that he's got his biceps out. But
Don't nobody want to feel your arms, bro.
That was not even it. There was one time he's like, yo, feel my abs, feel my abs. Whoa. Yeah, you said that. I know you said that. Feel my abs, I got abs now.
Pause.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
see, he's over here, feel my arms.
I'm not. What?
Can we get the side camera so we can see this?
Please.
All right.
No, yeah.
You've got some guns.
Triceps, my brother.
I felt it, Right
here.
Look, man.
Anyways.
For ish and giggles, just to confirm that he's been hitting the gym. I'll respect that a little bit. You're not going to beat me in a race, but to get that one over with. Yeah, okay. So anyways, early imbalances are coming in about 30 seconds. What is even going on right now? So early imbalances are going to come pretty quickly here. Amazon's making a power move. Oh, here comes VWAP on Meta. I didn't get any shares last time I cropped the VWAP, but I just got some now. I'm kind of trying to get 50s. I might move that to some 60s for the scalp trade because early look will come in about 10 seconds. We get it from Financial Juice, by the way. Shout out to Financial Juice. We're not affiliated with them. That's just where we get the early look from. I don't necessarily think we're going to have a big imbalance. I am noting Meta now back into the green while strong. Microsoft is fading. This feels like it's a better one. I don't want to get on the bid again of Microsoft. Because this feels like it's a little bit weaker than Meta, and it might be the one that I want to hold on to. So I just reloaded Meta. Let's see what happens. If it gets down to the 60s, I like to get some more shares out. I'm just double checking my forward position. When Brennan gives it to us, I'll let you guys know. That's creeping a little bit higher. I'm gonna continue to try to take some more shares out of forward as it creeps higher. I'm short at 13 here, but obviously it's not really going anywhere for me. Kind of a disappointing nothing burger. 300 million to sell is the early look on said imbalances. And oh my goodness, I'm still in a bit of a kerfuffle over this whole, like, you're talking about he asked you to feel his abs, which is a little bit weird. I don't know where this is coming from.
He's like, I got abs now. Like, you'll feel it, bro, feel it. Like, I'm good, bro. It's okay. It's okay, I believe you. But I mean, he's working hard. He's putting in work, and he's trying to get there one day. Sharif will guide him there to what he wants. But he's still putting in work. It's all good.
Can't people just work out to feel good and be more fit and be
that's the
ability to be more active?
That's the healthy way. But is Fahad ever healthy? Is the question.
Okay.
I mean, we all know the answer to that. Fahad's always gotta flex on someone. His wallpaper is him standing over Lucas because he crossed him up or something.
Imagine beating a dude who doesn't play basketball when you've been playing basketball all your life, and then that's his big moment, and he has to, like, Lucas isn't even here anymore, and it's literally his wallpaper on his PC. Dude's not even here anymore. Fahad's in my ear. I will do it to anybody of you. Yada, yada. He can beat me in basketball. You still got to race Neil, by the way. Of course you can beat me in basketball.
You still got to race Neil. Bro. You still got to race Neil. Once you beat him in a race, then maybe you can put that as your wallpaper. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so he's talking a lot of trash about this race. I will tell you this right now. If I lose a 100, we said like on 100 or 125 meters or something like that. If I lose that race to Fahad, then let's figure out, we can have I'll take a humiliating picture and that can be your backdrop. As long as, because I'll do that because I'm not going to lose to you. But as long as when I beat you, we can come up with something that's fun for everybody, the viewers. Like, I don't care. I don't want my satisfaction. I just want, when you lose the race, I want to make sure viewers think it's going to be fun. So you guys let me know. I don't mind. I'll take like a picture, me eating pineapple pizza. He can be dunking on me, and we'll throw it up on his thing, and we'll show it to you guys. Or we can face paint me. I really don't give a darn because I'm not going to lose the race. But you guys let us know. He's not shaving his beard, by the way, so I just outside. Like, there's certain things out there. Like, I respect that. He doesn't want to shave his beard. He's not going to do it. So we're not going to go down that road. I just got some Meta out, so we'll ring the register there. We're still continuing to fall on Microsoft. 70 pennies in the money on that. Ford got a little bit more out. I'm going to get out of AMC because that one looks like it's a loser. Let's go to Brendan for our crypto update. 3 minutes late. Sorry.
Hey guys, new highs as we speak almost here for Bitcoin to wrap up the equity session anyways. But yeah, all about 30,000 here this afternoon for BTC as the quietly the SEC increasing hiring apparently for their crypto unit. So we were talking to Frank about correlation, maybe a little one there. There it is. As I said, this is an hourly chart. So we just took out 30,500, got all the way up to almost 600 there on a bit of a pullback right now. 30,412. This is an hourly chart, remember, or 15-minute chart, I should say. So highlighting the move that happened overnight. We've been kind of consolidating, going sideways all day, but just took out that high right now on decent volume. It's worth mentioning. For BTC, up 4% now, 30,350, 1%, 1908 for Ethereum. Nicely green across this board. Solana down here with the biggest number on the board, 13,000. Or 1340, I should say, to the upside. There's 1910 right now. Ethereum with that same little pop in the last hour. Guys, back over to you.
You know what's actually hilarious? You said you joked and you said Solana. Oh, I don't know if I want that Tesla again. Okay, I was about to make a glib comment about Solana and Coinbase. I just got into Tesla 187.79, but I realized that was a trade that I like to set up for like a half an hour, maybe a little more closer to like 25, 30 minutes ago. Do I really want that fill? I could get out flat, so I just did. You're not forced to trade at the end of the day, but what I was going to say is when Coinbase IPO and everyone was all excited about it, I was like, hey, you know what? For me, any crypto I've ever had has been cold storage or one of the ETFs here in Canada, quite frankly. So it's ish and giggles. If I'm going to consider whether I would invest in it, why not actually sign up for an account and just mess around? So I didn't really put anything serious into it, but I did put. I had a little Solana in there. I probably have a little Bitcoin in there. I should double check it at some point. But on these big up days, it's probably the good day to go check out my Coinbase account. Again, out of all seriousness, I don't really have much in there. But if it had been at 13,000, like you just said on that brain fart, then I would definitely be cashing out right quick. You see how fast I log into that account and see if I can't get out of it. But back into trading, Micron, I just missed getting shares. It went up to 95, so I was trying to get 97, 98. It didn't happen. Now you're back to 80, 85. This is a case where it's now holding strength. I'm going to get more aggressive getting out. Just to go back to the original thesis, it was good. We're shorting all morning long, only shorting above 80s into 64 and only covering beneath 60. However, we're at the end of the day. All that time for it to reverse, work to the downside, wait for it to make the break and get out at the bottom, nonsense. That's only 24 minutes to go. It's not falling $1 here for me to get 63s, or even, it might not even fall 50 cents. So I'm just going to start covering this. It'll be close to break even, but have to get out of these trades. It's very close to 350 when the imbalances come out. Meta just made another push into the downside, so we worked into that short. I'm still in some of this, but I got all my fills down into that 214 that I had in front of 214, so we ring the register on that. Not necessarily capitulating like it did this morning, but that shorts into that 15 area, down into the low 14s with the market rolling over made sense to me. Microsoft is almost $1 in the money, but I got to acknowledge that as the market falls, Micron wasn't going down. So I'm getting out, some flat on Micron just to get out of the position. Can't hold it forever. And AMC, which I have not added to at any point this afternoon, I'm about to break 550. I like that 550 break. Look, it gave you 10 to 12 cents. It never really went against you, but that doesn't mean it was a home run. So, if you went long in the 3s and the 4s like I was, not bad, but a big disappointment, I would say, for that 550 break. That'll be coming out in literally 1 cent once it breaks the bottom. Look at that. Why? You thought, we kind of pulled away, but it just broke as I was talking about it. My hands went on the keys. My stop was in. I am out. So I'll hit the fail for it. A 550 break that I thought was going to 6 that went 10 cents, even if it's not a losing trade, it was kind of a fail. I had higher expectations for that breakout on AMC 550.
All right, there was a super chat regarding you and Fahad's race there. The loser comes to work in a clown costume.
Done.
I like the idea
Done.
of that. Can Fahad's ego handle that?
With the big ass shoes and the red nose, I will do all of that if I lose a race to Fahad. In a 100-meter race, here's the thing. I deserve all of that. I deserve all of the humiliation. I ran track In high school, I ran track in university. If I can't beat him in a 100-meter race when he didn't run track, then I don't
Here's the
deserve it,
thing,
man.
though.
I
Gerald
should be
Flinch
humiliated.
was mentioning that it has to be 100, it can't be more, because then you would easily win that. But Fahad's actually the one who wants it to be longer.
Yeah, for the record,
he wants 125 or 150. It's
he
not
asked
Neil.
for more.
Yeah, he asked for more.
He asked for a longer
because
race.
he said he's not good off the blocks and he needs time to get speed. But once he's at top speed, you're not going to catch him.
Well, I mean, his best chance is for for me to slip or stumble. If anything, I think it's to his advantage if we would do a shorter race. But he wants to have a longer race. All that being said, the best part of my race in the university was out of the blocks. I could stay with anybody for 20 to 40 meters, and then the guys that were, would obviously will whoop my butts because I wasn't I'm not that fast. But I'm not track fast. I'm just fast enough to run track. Microsoft now really flushing in. It just broke 83s. And I'm going to trail this one to 283 just to make sure that we lock in the $1 here. It starts a little better because that wick, which is screwing up my 3-minute chart, not as bad here on the 15 minutes. So decent winner. I like the over if it could have held above 25, but it never did. So we got the short and we took the under. Meta still working. That's about 70 pennies in the money here. I wish I could say Micron was more than 7 cents, but the shorts have come in. And an easy out in BABA. What's crazy about BABA is it just won't, I don't know. Like I said, it might not move. That was probably an easy out, but I was holding out for this to break, and it just hasn't done it. I have my stop just underneath 100 here. I probably could have taken that one. I was looking for that to maybe go a little bit further. But yeah, but we're now just flushing in. We didn't feel as strong as the afternoon yesterday, and the rollover now happening. Do I even wait for it to break 100 on Alibaba? Yeah, I'll let it break 100. It's only 10 more cents here. I'll let it break the 100 even before I get out of this.
Yeah, I'm also out of the futures. This is where I was like, towards the end of the day, there could be some selling for profit taking that I don't want to deal with. I would tighten up the stop. We're out. This has been a fun run. We've had the right trade. We've made the right trade for the day. We've made our money on it. Time to walk away. CrowdStrike we're out of. The only one I'm stuck with is Apple. And of course, like I said with Apple, we're going to take it to the imbalance to see if we can actually make some money. Or not make some money, but at least lose less money if the imbalances are positive. But as Financial Juice mentioned in their Twitter, I believe, sell side expectation for the imbalances remains to be seen, whether it comes out that way or it may have flipped positive right at the last second. But if that's the case, we may have a sell move coming through, especially on Apple. That also means because I'm long and this is starting to kind of fall off, I may have to hit the exit door as soon as I see what the imbalance is on Apple. If it is sell side, if it is negative, then we do need to walk away from it and just call it a day. It's a net positive day for me overall, right? Apple being the big loser for me on the day, and then the futures being the big winner for me on the day. Everything else was kind of hit or miss in the middle. So I'm perfectly okay, especially with my futures position being much larger than my equity side.
What?
I'm perfectly okay. Why are we looking at clown pictures now?
Because Fahad just sent me this. I put a trailing stop on Microsoft, so it might trail me out before we get to the imbalances, but this was just sent to me.
Oh, so I guess he's already been in a
He's
clown
already
costume.
done it. Apparently. So Fahad has done this already. Maybe we need to come up with something else because this already exists. So, I don't know.
That's no fun.
Unless that's something, we'll have to come up with something else, I suppose. Though, I don't mind. Like, if I lose, I'll still do it. But if Fahad's already done it, then maybe that's not as exciting. I just showed you a picture of him in a clown suit. So what do you guys care if we see that one again? Like, it's already happened. That's awesome. Like, and we've done fun stuff like this before. Like, I'm a big England fan. I had a family in England. I had a cousin that played for England football. Sean, obviously an Italian fan. So when they met in the Euro Cup, we had a bet. And I had the face paint. For the whole stream, I had my face painted in the Italian flag. We like to have fun with that. If the Packers ever meet the Bills, we're going to do something big there. We got to figure out, I don't know what we could do.
What do you mean?
Like a little rivalry thing, a little side bet between us every now and then. Years ago, we were joking around that we would race, but then that was back when you were playing football. Remember at campus office? But that was more just
Then I
for the
got
fun
old
of
and my legs got tight.
that was when we were younger.
Yeah,
Because the room played football. Obviously, right? Room played football and was pretty good. And for a big man, you could move. So I was kind of curious. And at that time, you were in a lot better. You're probably still in better shape than me. But the difference at that time was probably
it's crazy
a little bit
how
bigger
much
at that
tighter
moment.
your body gets just like after you hit a certain age, just a few years between them. It's just crazy how fast your body gets tight. I'm There's no, I don't think I have a chance anymore against Neil, not even close. Years ago, I would have said yes, but Neil would have been like, no chance. But I would have said yes, I would have had a chance. But now, not even close.
You know what's jokes?
What's that?
So, and I'll tell you this right now. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't put my wife on the spot now. But like, let's just say there's a point in the last 5 to 10 years, 100% that my wife would beat Fahad in a sprint. So I met, like, my wife and I met in like running track in university. So like she was a sprinter as well, and I'm being straight up. Like, you put a 200 meter race, like she definitely could have handled them back in the day. I wouldn't put her on the spot now. And it's not, I'm not saying like men versus women thing, but definitely like that can happen.
says loser gets
How about them
Pony
Astros?
temporary tattoos.
Zion Super Chat, how about them Astros get an Astros jersey? Oh, hell no. I'm not. You know what? Okay, fine. That would be a real humiliation for me to have to wear another team, an MLB team jersey, especially the Houston Astros. I mean, I'd probably do a side cheat and make it a Springer jersey, but the Houston Cheaters? I don't know about that.
And he's going to wear a Michael Jordan jersey somehow. I'm not saying that on camera, but
You're trash talking Michael
trash
Jordan.
talking
You need
Michael
to stop,
Jordan.
please.
Oh my God.
You need to stop trash talking.
Listen, I know you know
trash
friends
talk
in the
me all you
NBA, but
want.
at the same time, that's not the way to go about it.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, we're not going to go down that road. Yeah, we're not
Stop.
going down that road.
Stop.
Okay. All right.
Market is now absolutely dumping. I'm about, I got my trail out on Microsoft, but Meta here. Meta's the other one. It just got to this low. So we're 345. That's pretty much it. Just got back above 214. 15's into 14. I'm case closed there. I'm going to hold Microsoft. I still have, obviously I still have Micron in there. So late day, you're able to get a bit of a home run out there on Meta. My 3 minutes are kind of all jacked. Oh, you know what? Oh, my 3 minutes good on my black chart. So my 3 minute had these crazy wicks on them, and I apologize for that. But Meta, we shorted into VWAP. It just flushed. I just got out there. I had about half out when it got to 1440. The other half, we took out 20s and then 214. I am still holding Microsoft. I'm going to tempt fate here, and I wonder if the wicks are bad on this. If I can do my black chart for this. It's a little better. It's a little better, my 3 minute for Microsoft here. So I'm going to stick with these because my Microsoft chart was a mess. But now bouncing a little bit. I have a trailing stop on Softy, so let's see if it can't go a little further. Oh, never mind. It filled. Yeah, it just wicked up and filled my trailing stop, so I am now out of Microsoft. I was still looking at the Meta chart. So we get 1 win, we get 2 wins. I wish I could say Micron was as good, but that one just had to come out. At the end of the day, Micron off a good level, but no follow through. It's now following through, but I did take a bunch out flat. I've now just got some out for 60s. So not a huge flush on Micron. That was this morning. And that 64 level, I'm back here tomorrow, baby. I don't care what the market is doing, what the heck. Okay, well, I probably care. I care about the CPI number. I shouldn't say I don't care about the CPI number. Look, if we're breaking out and we're above 64, no. But if we're under 64 and there's no glaring reason why I shouldn't short off this level, then you just go back and rinse and repeat. It has been gold. It has not had a bad trade or a bad day. You have some nuance and you got to wait for it, but the shorts have been good. So 1, 2, 3, bingo, bango, bongo. I still have Ford somehow. I thought I had cleared out almost all of it. I still have a bid. Okay, never mind. It just, you kidding me? I'm on the bid at 87 from 230. It went right there and wicked me and did not actually fill the bid. So, I'll just leave it in. I can cancel my stop. I don't have to worry about my trailing stop. It's not going to go out of the money on me here. But I was on the bid and it got to 87. It just never filled me on Ford. That's why I thought I was getting out of it, because it was down there. I'm watching the level 2 and I'm on that bid. So 1 more cent, I'll get back out on that. But the market just absolutely rolling over. Congrats if you bet lower. Market to the downside. I didn't really put on any long trades in the afternoon. Didn't really see anything out there. The shorts just felt better because we weren't as strong. So congrats if you did that. Good question, Naresh. Upstart is strong today. Closing at the highs into a market rolling over. There we go. Closing at the highs on Upstart. I want to say Affirm was strong today as well. I'll check that in a second. Closing above the 50 period. Upward trend above 1730. Heck, man, if the market still favors growth names tomorrow based on what we get with CPI, get a light number. This could be a good long. Like, it's holding strength, looks pretty good. Every time I check this, I always check out Affirm. What are you doing, Affirm? Affirm is strong too, up 5%, basically the same chart. Okay. Not as good of a breakout. I mean, it's 11 maybe, but it's not at the 50 period. Upstart a little bit stronger on the daily chart, but both of them looking pretty strong to end the day here. Should have them on our radar for tomorrow morning, both Upstart. Thank you very much for pointing that one out, guys. I love it. I always love when we get some good ideas or stocks to look at heading into tomorrow morning based on how strong they closed or how weak they closed. So put Upstart on the list for tomorrow to have a watch out for some favorable longs, depending on CPI, obviously.
All right, futures market taking a nosedive here, and it's kind of expected. We talked about this earlier, about how as we got closer into the end of the day, we got to worry about everyone trying to hit the exit door, trying to prepare or clear their boards for the CPI number tomorrow. Because do you really want to carry an overnight position with an 8:30 number? Most likely not. Doesn't always happen. But when it does, it gets aggressive like this. So that's why I said as we get closer to this imbalance coming out, I'm going to tighten up the stop. I was sitting closer to about pretty much where we just bounced off of the 38s. I moved it up all the way to 40, just underneath 45. We walked away from this before it got a little too aggressive. I'm perfectly okay with it. So we are fully out, except for Apple. There's that one last hope that Apple comes out with a buy imbalance. Do I expect it to happen? Absolutely not.
Very quickly here.
Might as well look for it.
20 seconds left. I'm asking the 8-ball. Will the imbalances keep the ES green because they're about to flush? Ooh. So will the imbalances in about 47 seconds keep the ES green? Where's the answer? It's not giving me an answer.
Just move it around.
Oh, there we go.
There. Only Brendan knows.
Only Brendan knows.
Brendan, what is it? Come on, tell us, Brendan.
Are we staying green in the ES?
He says the same.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you. Okay, never mind. I don't think he actually heard.
No, he
but
didn't hear the
imbalances
question.
are now out, so I think that was a pretty non-definitive answer. BAC showed up as a sell of 1 million shares. Mullen, who 800,000 to buy. I was about to say, who cares? Uber, 500,000 to sell. PayPal, 500,000 to sell. Apple is the first big tech at 400 to sell. Pretty much nothing. And even then, it's immediately pairing off. Alphabet, 400 to sell, 350 to sell. As a matter of fact, Amazon is a very small sell side. So it's 975 million to sell, about $1 billion. So only Brendan knows, and he just gave us $1 billion sell imbalance. And the market looks like it's heading back into the lows. Oh my goodness, Meta. Son of a. Well, that sucks. Just got out of the Meta short. You know, sometimes you don't hold on for that last flush because Meta's at a double bottom, and Meta just cracked that double bottom and continues to flush. All I got is Ford. Yay, Ford is 10 cents in the money. I'm just going to take that right here because it's not really moving. So now out of all of my trades. The other one was Microsoft that we're in. By the way, Baba broke 100 of no longer in Alibaba. You guys can see that. We got that short in Microsoft off the 84. These darn wicks. I mean, there we go. Off 84, so not in front of VWAP. Once it rolled over, there was nothing until it kind of cracked here. Like you just kind of let it drift down that extra 50 cents. It's not at the low of the day, so it ends up not being as big of a flush as Microsoft. That was pretty much all we saw. You know, I didn't really see too much else there. Like Amazon was a bit of a long for most of the afternoon. I didn't feel like it was a chase. It's now pulling back into VWAP, down 2% here. So you had to pick your spots. I got short at an average price of 13 on Ford because there weren't enough opportunities to get anything tighter to 13.20. I didn't start shorting it till it broke 96. That's a 200 period on the daily. And then I got my first fill pretty much at 99. It then failed 07s. I got some more shares right here at 2s. That gave me basically a flat price, like a 13 even-ish price. Never got any better than that. And it didn't even follow through anyway. So it was a winning trade, but it wasn't exactly the trade that I was looking for. The real story is the ES is now dead flat on the day. Dead flat on the day. So it looks like if you bet red, kudos to you. The NASDAQ's definitely red. The ES trying to hold on for dear life. And not really doing a successful job of it.
You know what, though? This is actually a good thing for tomorrow. Obviously, for today's situation, it sucks for anyone who wanted to keep it positive on the S&P and maybe NASDAQ go positive as well. But for tomorrow, when you have an ES or a CPI number that comes in and is quite volatile, the last thing you want to be is very close to a breakout point, right? So if you're near a consolidation breakout, like we've had that 41.55 marked off for a couple days now, and now we just put in that 41.15 as well after yesterday's move. So if we were coming into overnight and we were sitting at 41.50, knowing that 55 was going to be the breakaway point, you could easily get like kind of swiped through. It could just kind of move right up, go right through 55, go to 60, come right back in, through that mess, get chopped up because what you thought was a breakout wasn't a real breakout. It was just the mess that comes with the CPI number when it gets, starts moving all over the place. But when you have a market like this that's resetting to the middle of that range, at least the range I'm looking at, that 41.55 and 41.15, what you end up with is a market that can actually legit break out for the right reasons and not just get pushed out or just get kind of stopped out for no reason or for just a matter of noise, but any sort of break that would come with a market that's starting off at, say, 35. It would take 20 points to break through the 55 high, and then it would need to trade through there. It's not going to just get swiped up there. It's going to have to trade through there to actually stay up there. So I think for us, this kind of a reset on the day is a good thing for tomorrow's opening or a pre-market trade on the CPI or off the CPI release. It's kind of expected at the same time. We kind of coming into the end of the day expecting some sort of clearing of the boards and resetting of the tables for anyone who's in a position. This market has tried all day to stay positive on the S&P side. It has done it right till the end of the day when we know that in the final half hour things get dicey very, very quickly, and this is why, and you're seeing it happen right now.
No, I like that point because it is trickier to trade around breakout points, and I think that's a good point. That's why I love having you here sometimes because we get that perspective. I can ask you in the chat when you're not here, but it's sometimes great to have you sit next. And this is for Steve G. I have my iPad out. Can you just read what that says? Because I put it in.
Upstart, daily strong close, look for long above 1740.
So you were right, Steve G. I just talked about adding Upstart to my list, and I didn't put it on my iPad. Now I'm struggling to plug it back in here. It's weird. Like, I always just leave it plugged in. I don't know why I don't let the battery drain. It doesn't really matter. But, yeah, I like to have stocks that I'm looking at. I put it right underneath Moderna, 145 support, 151 short. That ended up being a losing trade, but that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that $5 to $7 move, actually about $6 on average, but 5 to 7 for. But that's what I mean about Upstart. If it's sustaining that breakout, decent chance that it has some serious room to run. And with about 4 minutes to go, just a quick update for you guys. All of the there weren't that many out there for large imbalances, but you don't see any of the big cap names. There were like 400,000. Amazon's still there for 300,000, but Apple's paired off. ET, which is a small cap stock, that's $3 million to sell. Not sure what's up with that. That's weird. Virgin Orbit. Oh, it's a warrants for Virgin Orbit is in there. So nothing really stands out there on the imbalances to end the day. Story is going to be that market flush. And as we were just talking about Upstart, it just made a fresh high of the day as the market is making a fresh low of the day. This is exactly why I want to be looking for the opportunity to make go for the longs and Upstarts. Thank you guys very much there. I think the market just got to resistance and there was not enough buying.
It's not even that.
And also going into tomorrow.
I think that's what it is. It's a de-risking situation. Keep in mind, this market has been trending up since about 11 a.m. this morning, right? So we struggled this morning, then we just kind of started trending up. When you trend like this through the resistance zone, going into end of day, knowing that in the pre-market tomorrow there's going to be some sort of activity, the odds are people are going to start taking some off the table. Now, we didn't see any signs of it. That's why I didn't go short. We were in the right spot for me to work the shorts. I just never saw the signs. It happened very quickly, and that's what tends to happen when you get into a situation like this where the market decides, hey, it's time to de-risk as we go into the end of the day. One stop triggers another stop, which triggers another stop, and then you see something like this happen. We managed to get out of the way over 10 points ago and lock in whatever we can as this market comes back in. It's all good. It's just resetting. There will be another trade to be made as this market is going to be set up for the CPI. And not just the CPI, though. We've got CPI. We've got bonds at 1, 10-year bonds at 1, which is going to kind of create a flash in the pan. And then 2 p.m., we've got Fed minutes as well. And I'm sure there's something in between there I'm missing already. But this is going to be an exciting one and quite the way to finish the day as well. After what was a quiet day, a very choppy session overall. And then in the final 15 minutes, you get this blast of action here as we fall from 50 all the way down to 35. Crazy, crazy moves to the downside.
And the market fell because we didn't get to 1,000 likes. See, yesterday, the market held the highs because we cracked it right at the end. We got from I think we got to 800 to 12, 1,300, and the market held the highs. Today, we're languishing at 8,000 likes. I don't even want to give the Ola for this one. It is what it is. I wish I'd held on to Meta. Meta actually got to 213.50. I mean, I can't stop staring at it. It's kind of ridiculous. It just rolled over even more than I thought it would. It was relatively strong. We had some longs early, but we ended up going into the short. Really should have just held on to that short. It is nasty for some of these dips, depending on the stock you're looking at. We got about a minute to go. If you happen to be in Toronto and going to the Jays game, you are going to see me there. I am probably going to be that guy who is all over the opposing team third baseman. We're playing Detroit, so it's probably some guy I've never heard of, but I'm on the third baseline, so I'll be doing a little heckling there. I won't be heckling Javier Baez because he's one of my favorite players. I've never seen him live. Should be exciting. I want the Jays to win. Hit the like for Arun. Sean's back tomorrow, and Arun doing a fantastic job of it. I'm going to assume Fahad is on the bell. My guess is he'll talk a little trash. He'll probably try to flex and show you how strong he is, something along those lines, because that's how he rolls. Will I be? I'm actually not going to be drinking that much. What is going on with, what is that?
You know you're on camera, bro.
What is that?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? I love how he's flexing, but yet watching me eat food. Come on, bro. Anyways.
Every now and then, there's nothing wrong with little McDonald's, man.
No,
want to see your
Fahad,
pitch?
no.
You can't. Oh, what is? I don't know what's going on here. 20 seconds to go in here, and he's going to show me his form. That is terrible.
That is terrible for him. But yet he's going to call himself the best pitcher ever.
That's actually really bad.
All right,
that's
anyways,
really
we're
bad.
in the final 6
apparently,
seconds.
here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, and ring it.
I love how he has to flex to do that, because you know he's got to flex.
So in baseball, they call his arm is really, really late. So he strides and comes down, and then he brings his arm out after. If he actually threw max effort like that, he would 100% mash up his elbow and his shoulder. That is really bad throwing form. We'll work on that for you. The other thing he challenged me, he said he could strike me out. No, probably not. However, the market struck out at the end of the day, but I think there might have been enough of a late surge. I didn't see exactly where we closed. Brennan, how did the ES do specifically there? Because the NASDAQ was kaputs, but how did the ES finish?
Yeah, we give it all back, didn't we, there at the end of the day? Here's how things end, still red when all is said and done for the NASDAQ, specifically the NASDAQ 100. It was really the big ones that led that 0.63 when all is said and done there for NASDAQ and tech. It's actually 0.002, so we did get to positive territory. That's why it's black, but not enough space there on the decimal places. 0.35 for the Dow. Everything else, yeah, pretty positive right across the board. Bitcoin still holding on to that 3.5, guys.
Yes, sir. And I feel like, hey, man, you guys had some positivity out there. You hit a few more likes, and the ES tried to hold up. Congrats if you bet the Qs that was going to be on the under, because the NASDAQ never really had a chance today. And you saw with that rollover, it was mostly big tech that was flushing. Big shout out. I know it was a fantastic midday show. Sharif doing a banger job. We've had Obi filling in as well. Quite frankly, I know it's a heck of a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with Fahad, but I think he does a bang-up job showing you guys, kind of a beginner's guide to trading, and he had some successful ones in there today. I want to shout him out because it was Lucy. He had a banger on Lucy. I don't think we looked at that in the afternoon. As always, thank you, Arun, for stepping in for Sean. And lastly, but not least, I want to thank our entire IT team and everyone in the back. Then obviously Mahad and Fahad were working on the stream when we had those issues. But our IT team, everybody was trying to get things straight. Fantastic job there for everybody that works on that for us. As always, and a great interview, as always, with Brendan and Frank. Any last notes before we get out of here? We have a lot to prepare for tomorrow, Brendan.
Yeah, big day, obviously, tomorrow, guys, with CPI. We made a change. I know Sharif was talking about it in the midday, but we are going to come on 5 minutes. We typically do for CPI. Right. Again, we're not really sure or expecting what is going to happen with this number, as Frank was saying. So we'll be on at 8:25, remember, tomorrow.
Yes, sir. It's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that. See, that's why Brennan's a professional, because I forgot we're coming on 5 minutes early. So 8:25 tomorrow morning. It's going to be a fantastic show. Sean is going to be back, so we'll be back on the ones and twos. That is Brennan in the middle. My man, Arun, I didn't even see what superhero shirt you're wearing today.
Green Arrow, baby.
It's the Green Arrow. I'm Neil. This is Trader TV Live. We'll see you at 8:25 for CPI. And let's go Blue Jays.